with a link to the evaluation and ask people just to take a minute to do that before you move off to your next probably Zoom meeting. And in particular right now, in addition to giving us feedback on today's presentation, which is always helpful and useful, we're going to start planning out next year's programming as well. So if you have ideas for things that you would like to see the Center for Inclusive Excellence put together, please feel free to use the space in the evaluation form to do that, or you can always just send us an email as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Todd Kennedy.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Good to see everybody, those who I can actually see on the screen. Welcome. Today, going to be talking a little bit about the Military and Veterans Program, just giving a very brief overview. I do want to put a couple of disclaimers out there real quick. I will be sending the PowerPoint slides to Jennifer shortly after this presentation so that it'll be accessible as well. It'll probably come through as a PDF just because the data is so large in it, but we'll get that over to everybody, over for Jennifer to disseminate to everybody very soon. The second disclaimer, Jennifer and I were talking about it. I'm a little bit off my game today. I got my second COVID shot yesterday midday, and it literally feels like I have a Mack truck parked on top of me. So I'll try and stay as engaging as possible, but if there's a little bit of an off, I apologize for that. But please feel free to reach out and we can have additional conversations about the program, about the military and veterans community, and any number of other different topics offline as necessary. So one of the things I like to do before really getting into the nuts and bolts about the MVP that we have here at San Diego State is I like to paint a picture of what the military and veteran population looks like nationally, and then bring it down locally and then actually to the university level. When you look at the numbers across the country, you can see that out of the entire population, only about 6.5% of the US population have actually served in the armed forces or are currently serving in one of the service member categories, either active duty, reserve, National Guard, things of that nature. So it's a very small population out of the greater whole. When you look at that compared to longevity timeframes, what you'll see is that percentage, now this percentage is showing those currently on active duty. When you look at that over time, you see that the percentage that are currently serving has decreased significantly from the days, 70 years ago with World War II, when you had 12% of the US population serving actively in uniform compared to less than 0.5% today. There's a wide variety of different factors for that. Everything from technology does not have the need for as much manpower, if you will, the troops on the ground. There's also a different type of conflict going on. For those not familiar with GWOT, that's Global War on Terror. So you can think of that as the conflicts in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and a few other places that have been seeing a lot of kinetic activity over the last couple of decades, pretty much anything since the attacks on 9/11. So this just kind of paints a little bit of a picture about the population as a whole in comparison to those serving in the military. When you look at ethnicity, one thing I like to point out about the active forces is, compared to society as a whole, the military is as diverse, if not more diverse, than American society in general. Now, one thing I do want to make sure that everybody sees is the asterisk near the Hispanic population. That's never going to match up 100% between the active duty count and the US Census Bureau and how they calculate these demographics, just by virtue of how the definitions align. But the takeaway, again, is that we see as much, if not more, diversity within the military ranks than we do in our society writ large. Bringing things a little bit closer to home, when you look, it's a little bit of a busy slide, but it paints a pretty decent picture. California, we have about 9% of all veterans here in our state. And you can see the breakdown of the numbers just here in San Diego County, from veterans, family members, civilian employees working for the Department of Defense or Homeland Security, if they're working with the Coast Guard. The main thing to look at here is that 1.2 million. Just about 40% of all of San Diego County has a direct tie to the uniformed services. That's active duty, that's family members, that's veterans and their family members. When you look at the military as a whole, We have now 6 military branches: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard. The 2 largest that we have here in our area are the Navy and the Marine Corps. Anybody who's been in San Diego for more than 6 minutes remembers that and knows that. But what's interesting to point out is that out of the entire Navy and the entire Marine Corps, 1/6 and 1/4 of each are physically here in our county. So it's a sizable presence. It's the largest global concentration of military and veterans in the country. And when Todd says that we are the largest military town in the world, we've got the data to back it up. So it's a very prominent, very engaging community. When we look at some economic stuff, we can actually see that about 22% of all regional jobs here in San Diego are tied to the military services. About 20% of the gross regional product is coming out of here. So we're very economically tied to the services. A lot of folks, sometimes when they hear about California in general, they'll be surprised when they think about its military connection because of the history that we have as a state, sometimes very blue leaning, sometimes very red leaning. And that may fluctuate back and forth. In San Diego, politics aside, we see a regular presence, again, just by virtue of the sheer numbers that we have in our area. When you look at those bases and major stations that we have here, we have over 9. These are the major military bases that we have in San Diego County. There's going to be several much smaller ones, things like Army National Guard recruiting centers or a small Air Force Reserve Center here, there, and everywhere. But when you look at the major bases, we have a presence all the way from Camp Pendleton up in North County, as far south as 32nd Street and Naval Air Station North Island, as well as the Coast Guard sector, which is that very small piece of land right across from the airport, for anybody who's familiar with that area. So it's a sizable physical presence as well. And when you look at San Diego State, we're actually physically positioned smack in the middle. So we have a connection, we have a physical positioning with this community, and a lot of great things are able to come out of that. Part of that is our long history that the military has with San Diego State University. I pulled a lot of these images from some archives, as well as some of my own personal work academically and professionally, and it's been a long tradition. Everything from the top left image where back when we were still a normal school, and victory gardens were being grown by the students who were being, I'll say props, but that's not the right term, but they were the students that were helping train the next generation of teachers. And you can see that these victory gardens were very prominent. The top image on the left, or in the center, I'm sorry, with the older gentleman who's sitting there at the statue talking with the service member is Dr. Lauren Post. He's the one who had the foresight to maintain a collection of World War II letters that were being sent back and forth between service members, him, family members, and that collection eventually turned into a newsletter during World War II that eventually evolved and is now what we have as 360 Magazine and a couple of other publications here on the campus. We have a number of war memorials, 3 in particular. We have the most prominent one, which you can see there in the lower right next to the Student Union. We have a freedom tree that's right there by Scripps Cottage. We have a couple of plaques over there on Hardy Tower. In a more pragmatic fashion, we also have currently a student veterans house. We also have a veteran center, and we have a student veteran organization. Now, the thing about that terminology, when we say veteran, I want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear on this, that it's not just veterans that we support. We provide services, support, access accommodations, resource connections to veterans, service members, and family members. So it's something that we've been very proud of over the years, and it's something that we're maintaining very strong connections and moving forward with a lot of programming. When you look at our military connected population at SDSU, this is where I start getting into that much more defined, or I'm sorry, much more diverse population definition. We have veterans, we have active duty, we have reserve, we have National Guard. I just realized I have a typo on this slide where it says AR, that should be AD for active duty. When we look at our numbers, about 1/4 of our population are those who have served or are currently serving. And you can see that almost 3/4, actually more than that, are those who are family members, and that's military spouses and or children of service members. We have a sizable military affiliated population. That makes up about 13%, actually a little bit more than 13% of the entire student body. Alumni as well. Out of our alumni, we have a sizable number, just over 15,000 actual veterans who call themselves Aztec alums. And then of our staff, faculty, and administrators, we've been able to identify that we have over 115 who are also either veterans, service members, or families of one of those two. So it's a sizable population. It's about the third largest demographic on our campus, and it's one that's very ingrained in the campus, and it's a very prominent identity that we have moving forward. When we look at our students overall, you can see that GPAs and graduation rates are pretty much on par with, if not exceeding, their general student counterparts. It's difficult to say traditional students because there really is no such thing as a traditional student anymore. But when you look at the campus numbers overall, the military, the service members and veterans in particular are performing at slightly higher rates than their non-military counterparts. So that dispels a lot of misconceptions about individuals going into the service as their only option in life, because they wouldn't cut it as college students. They didn't have anything else going for them. They may have been from economically disadvantaged areas and the military was their only way out. And the reality is, yes, there could be some of that going on, but there's also a number of other reasons why people go in the services. And I could go for hours talking about those things. One of the most prominent programs that we have here at SDSU that we support is the Department of Veterans Affairs GI Bill certifications. The numbers have not updated for 2020, so unfortunately I have to go with 2019, but they've been holding pretty steady for the last several years. When service members, veterans, their families come to SDSU, many will use the GI Bill. Not all of them. Some will save it for postgraduate work or professional credentials or doctorates or whatever the case may be. But we do have a large number of students that use the GI Bill. It's a very detailed, it's a very complex, it's a very complicated process, and it requires a lot of attention to detail and a lot of effort going in to make sure that it's accurate. San Diego State, we certify over almost 1,600 of these students every year for these benefits. All told, it's right around $24 million in tuition and or stipends of some sort that are paid either to the school or to the students directly. Compared to the CSU average, you can see we're leaps and bounds above them, as well as the University of California schools in the state and the local community colleges, the 9 that we have here in our area, as well as the private institutions. So it's a sizable number of beneficiaries for the GI Bill that we service and support as well. So what do? Here in the Military and Veterans Program, we have 5 key areas that we focus on that perfectly align with the strategic plan. First and foremost is we provide higher education outreach to the service members, to the veterans, and to their family members. We meet them where they are. That could mean being on base at different activities, the different bases. That could mean going to the community colleges, going to different community events with nonprofit organizations, or meeting with individuals one-on-one. The importance behind that type of outreach, and the reason I specifically use outreach versus recruitment, is we're not trying to draw people into SDSU. We're trying to provide them information about higher education so they can make quality, informed decision, which is valuable and critical when you consider that 62% of all veterans are first-generation college students. So they're lacking that cultural capital of making those informed decisions. We also foster a sense of academic success, and that's a wide variety of different functions, everything from the GI Bill certification that I mentioned earlier to connecting people with the numerous resources that we have on campus and our partners that we have across the campus and in the surrounding community to try and lessen the stressors that this particular population may experience that are unique to that demographic that others who are non-military may not quite have the same issues that they are potentially working through. We also partner with a number of individuals to foster professional development. That's everything from different types of workshops around interviewing techniques, resume writing, connecting people with industry leaders for internships, We have a number of great partners on campus and off campus, two of which are College of Engineering and their Troops to Engineers program. And then of course, SDSU's Career Services. Phenomenal relationships that we've been able to exploit the assets of each other to be mutually beneficial for all of our students. We also do a number of community engagement events that's including on campus and off campus. And that's everything from lecture series to camaraderie events at different sporting events, for example, to you name it. We're always exploring new ways to really enrich the experience of the college students, as well as make connections with our community relationships so that we can foster stronger connections in that regard. With the institution's goal of expanding its own research opportunities as part of the strategic plan, we're primed to be one of those assets. Looking at interdisciplinary research, we have a grant writer position that we hired last summer who's here to assist with obtaining funding for different types of programming that center around the military and veteran community. This research is not just to support military and vets at SDSU, it's any number of different things. We could foster economic research, again, because of the connections that we have with San Diego County. We can work with those local military installations, the different bases and their units on those bases in the technical field, everything from robotics and artificial intelligence over to virtual reality. We can look at the transition from the service into higher education into the career force. We can look at the challenges that military family members may face. The list goes on and on and on. But these are the main focus areas that we keep at the forefront of our idea phases, at our conversations, and everything that kind of keeps us grounded in what we're trying to do. As far as the program itself, there's a lot of things that are going on. We do have footing in both academic affairs and student affairs. We just recently migrated last July 1st actually, from academic affairs into student affairs and campus diversity. But our functioning, because of everything that we do, sits perfectly in both worlds, and in some cases, neither. So it's a very, it's a very robust, very diverse, very connected program. Outside of the tuition funding and the housing stipends for the students, we operate off of a number of budgets, state and philanthropic, as well as endowments. And we're dealing with about $650,000 annually, which goes towards different positions. It'll go towards events, it'll go to operating overheads and a wide variety of different things. We have a relatively robust staff. It's a very diverse staff. We have four full-time state positions, one that we're in the process of hiring that's been gapped for about 1.5 years, and one, unfortunately, that is on hold due to the early exit program. We also have 3 full-time foundation positions, 2 currently filled and 1 that we're in the process of hiring. And then we have 3 key external partners that are physically housed within our center on campus, our 2 Troops to Engineers coordinators and our Vet Success on Campus counselor. The Vet Success on Campus program is an agreement between San Diego State and the Department of Veterans Affairs that puts an actual counselor from the VA into our spaces to be able to work with military connected students on their benefits, career preparation, and basically all things VA related. Here's just a quick snapshot. It's the most recent org chart I was able to find online. I think there have been a couple of updates since this one was put together, but you can see us positioned under campus and community partnerships. It's a good position for us, working under Christy Samarcos as our AVP. It really shows that we do have those connections here on campus and in the surrounding community, but we also work with all of these different partners in student affairs and campus diversity, as well as academic affairs and others. Staffing, this is just a real quick visualization of who we have on our staff. You can see the 3 gapped positions, 2 of which we're in the process of filling, and then the external partners to include Jen Stanley. She doesn't work, obviously, in our space, but she is our primary point of contact on the URAD side when it comes to endowments and philanthropic support. And these partners are just the main ones that we interact with on a more regular basis. We actually work with people from all over the campus and the surrounding community, as I mentioned. Here's a quick snapshot of a few other key relationships. We do have a student veteran organization. Unfortunately, as with COVID doing it to a lot of things, It's currently on hold. A lot of students, they had other things that come up, but we do normally have a student veteran organization, which the SDSU SVO actually was one of the founding members, one of the plank holders, if you will, of the Student Veterans of America, which lobbied with Congress and worked with a number of colleagues to get us the most recent version of the post 9/11 GI Bill. We also have a veteran alumni organization, which is good for mentoring purposes and to keep former students connected to the university. We have a new military and veteran employee resource group that brings folks together who work on the campus as a camaraderie tool. We obviously have key relationships with every department in enrollment services. One of our staff members actually sits on the economic crisis response team. We work regularly with career services, SASE, counseling and psych services. We also work very closely with Global Campus, especially as part of its expansion. We have a Veterans Advisory Council consisting of high visibility and high impact individuals from the local community. Aztec Shops helps us when it comes to the different housing opportunity or the housing opportunity that we have on campus for military connected students as far as apartments to rent. And the list goes on and on and on and on. If I tried to list every partnership that we had, I would easily take up 2 or 3 hours in this slide deck, and I don't want to take too much of anybody's time. When I talk about the impact that the university and our program has had on the nation, we were the first veterans resource of its type in the Cal State system. As I mentioned earlier, we were a founding partner of the Student Veterans of America student organization. We were one of the first 3 Vet Success on Campus program sites that was established back in 2009, the success of which has now blossomed into over 100 sites across the country. We also are involved in what's called the Council on Military Transition to Education, where we meet with Department of Defense personnel and provide insight, guidance, and advice on the best ways to prepare transitioning service members and their families to enter higher education. We're members, we're actually board members and have been for about the last 5 years of the National Association of Veteran Program Administrators, which is a nonprofit organization that meets with elected officials in Congress on a regular basis to advocate on behalf of our students as well as our institutions when it comes to GI Bill, Department of Defense type of education funding, and some state resources that are out there as well. Some of you may have attended and are familiar with the Military Ally Program. We've done over 100 of those sessions to date. We have actually, it's over 2,000 individuals who have gone through the program now, and we've been all over the country. In fact, just as COVID was going into effect, the telework was going into effect, I was at a conference in Philadelphia and then scheduled to go to Stony Brook, New York to do a Military Ally seminar when they unfortunately had to cancel and I came home. So it's a national presence. People are recognizing the work that we're doing. We do have a number of collaborations that are either in process or being explored. This is just a handful. San Diego State, the title actually changed recently. It's now the Center for the Study of War and Society. Dr. Greg Daddis out of the History Department is the chair, and that's based on a $3 million gift from the USS Midway Foundation and was established in partnership between them, the History Department, and the MVP. We have a World War II letters project underway where we're going to take those letters that I'd mentioned early on in the session today and bring those to life in some fashion. We're going to work with the university historian, Dr. Seth Malios, and some others, and bring them to life really as they align with the 125th anniversary of the institution, which starts in 2022. We just recently established a Center for Public and Oral History with the library as well as the History Department. Dr. David Klein is the director of that. We have a small Veterans Oral History program that's going to be housed in there, as well as a number of other programs that we're going to start consolidating and bringing into that space as well. We're exploring through formerly College of Extended Studies, now Global Campus, as well as the School of Communications and others, ways to build out the military ally successes into some type of a military certificate, whether that be a 2-day workshop where people get a certificate at the end, whether it's turned into some type of an academic program as part of a leadership studies course, or whether it's continuing education units for social sciences and other practitioners. We have the skill set, we have the desire, and we have the opportunities to move forward. So we're looking at that one as well. One of the most prominent programs that we have, which has been in existence since 2008, is the Presidential Special Admissions Program, where we allocate up to 25 school seats per year specifically for transitioning service members to access the university by going around the traditional transfer route. So provided that they have the recommendation from their units, provided they meet some of the basic CSU requirements, they can be given immediate access to the university, bypassing the Golden 4 or the 60 transferable units, which most transfer students have to meet. As I mentioned, the Military Allied, already talked about that. We have a Women Veteran Success Program, our 3rd year of which was actually looking at being our biggest year. But again, COVID kind of put a little bit of a break on that. But we do have some endowments from a couple of prominent donors that we're supporting a number of different types of events, everything from camaraderie events, personal growth, professional development, as well as some academic success and other things that are really centered around that female experience in the military and veteran spheres. And then again, the Veterans Oral History program that I mentioned earlier is going to be housed eventually in the Center for Public and Oral History. And that was actually it served as a genesis for a History 390W class, which Professor Bill Weeks, Dr. Bill Weeks, teaches once a semester, called The Writing of War, Remembrance, and Reconciliation. It's not just veterans in that class, it's non-military as well. And it's really exploring the experiences of war as it affects everybody. As a society, in one way or another, it's going to affect us. And that's been another fruitful relationship that's come out. The Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC, is not housed under the Military and Veterans Program, but it's a strong relationship that we have with PSFA under Dean Shannon. We have about 270 students at SDSU who are ROTC. Some of those are active service members or military family members who may be using benefits, the GI Bill type benefits. So we will still work with that population, and we assist with a number of different events, 2 of which are the Combat Leadership Panel sponsored by Ed and Kalita Blessing, where soon to be graduating ROTC cadets and midshipmen are able to meet with currently serving active duty officers, kind of as a mentorship, a heads up, here's what you can expect type thing. We're also exploring helping with commissioning ceremonies. It's a major day in any service member's career when they get promoted or when they get commissioned. And that's something we want to help this population celebrate, whether they're events aboard the USS Midway, they're in Balboa Park, or wherever the venue may end up being. There's a couple of quotes here that came out of the San Diego Military Advisory Council's Economic Impact Report a couple of years ago that I think really sum up the value of programs such as this. The military is providing the San Diego schools with a steady flow of new students consisting of service members who are transitioning out as well as family members. And then that educational system can also provide the military with increases in human capital. And it's not just people going into the service. Again, it's a number of different ways that we're connected. You can just look at that 40% that I talked about earlier, and you can see where those lie. The service members who are transitioning out, they're providing a labor pool. They're skilled, they're getting educated, they have skill sets and experiences that are valued and sought after by employers around the world. And by partnering with the military and San Diego State University, we're able to leverage those experiences and really get folks prepared for their next chapters in life while mutually benefiting all aspects of the industries as well. Just a few examples of where those opportunities may lie. It could be working together with educational, corporate, nonprofit organizations, the defense industry. There's a number of different ways that we can leverage training and education programming. Technical advances, STEM being one of the most popular fields that our service members and veterans go into, and then increased coordination efforts both on campus and off campus, again, to enhance the student experience, but also strengthen the relationship that we have with our community partners. So these types of opportunities, I'm not the end all be all expert on what we should do. We're interested in hearing what everybody has to say, what the ideas are. Those of you who are joining us today, if you have a thought, please reach out to me. Happy to have a conversation and we can see where the next steps, where the ideas may be able to take us.